They told you that discipline is everything. That waking up before the sun, grinding through discomfort, and never skipping a beat no matter how you feel is the secret to success. That if you just stay focused long enough, if you keep showing up, your time will come. And you believed it. You obeyed. You followed the structure. You beat your emotions into silence. And you called it strength. But if Machiavelli were watching you, he'd call it something else entirely. He'd call it submission, obedience, not to your purpose but to a system, and more importantly, a system not designed for your dominance. Here's the uncomfortable truth: discipline, for most people, isn't power. It's a leash, a pretty, respectable leash, but still a leash. And if you want to be dangerous, if you want to be truly untouchable, Machiavelli would give you different advice. He wouldn't say be disciplined. He'd say be strategic. Discipline only works in your favor if you're the one writing the rules. But most people aren't. Most people are disciplined inside a structure someone else designed. They wake up early not because it is necessary, but because they were told that is what successful people do. They stick to a plan not because it's working, but because discipline told them quitting is weak. They follow rituals like they're sacred, but they never ask if those rituals still serve the outcome. And Machiavelli, he'd laugh at that. Because to him, blind consistency isn't strength. It's weakness. It's not brave to follow a broken plan. It's not noble to stick to a system that no longer gives you an edge. That's not discipline, that's self-imposed limitation. It's mental confinement dressed up as self-improvement. Now imagine a different kind of mind. A dangerous mind. One that doesn't worship discipline but uses it. And when it stops working, it discards it. This mind doesn't wake up at 5 o'clock a.m. because someone on YouTube said it's the billionaire routine. It wakes up when the mission demands. It sleeps when rest becomes a weapon. It moves with urgency when speed gives advantage and slows down when silence brings leverage. This mind doesn't cling to consistency. It adapts. It shifts. It changes rhythm the moment the current rhythm becomes predictable. Because predictability is how your enemies get ahead. And discipline, when worn like a badge, makes you easy to read. They know your next move, your timing, your routine. You become a program running on autopilot. The dangerous man. He isn't obsessed with being rigid. He's obsessed with control of time, of decisions, of emotion. He's not shackled by the pressure to be consistent. He's free to change course mid-battle, without guilt. That's why Machiavelli would draw a sharp line. Discipline is for soldiers, strategy is for rulers. One follows commands, the other rewrites the terrain. Let's go deeper. Here's how. Discipline can quietly strangle your power. First, discipline trains you to obey, not to question. The moment you're addicted to a habit, you stop asking if the outcome still matters. You just keep going. Because that's what I do. And while you're marching forward, the world is shifting. But you don't see it. You're too loyal to a plan that no longer applies. And that's not persistence. That's failure in slow motion. Second, discipline rewards effort, not intelligence. Anyone can grind. Anyone can push. But the most powerful minds, they know when to stop, when to pivot, when to redesign the whole game. Discipline says keep moving. Strategy says move where it matters. Though discipline numbs your instincts, you stop listening to your gut. You ignore signals. You override your intuition. Well, because it doesn't fit the plan. You force yourself to push when you should have paused. And in that moment you miss the edge, the insight, the opportunity that could have changed the outcome. Machiavelli's most dangerous followers don't. Cling to routines. They ask one question over and over again. Does this action bring me closer to power, control, or advantage? Not. Is this a good habit? Not. Am I being consistent? But does this work right now? If the answer is no, they drop it, without apology, without drama, without waiting for permission. Because for Machiavelli, the illusion of discipline is one of the most seductive traps. It makes you feel like you're evolving even when you're stuck. Just look round. The world is full of hard-working, disciplined men, waking up at 5 o'clock a.m., journaling, eating the same meals, reading the same books. They're doing everything right, according to the system, and yet they're still invisible, still replaceable, and that's not an accident. That's by design. The system loves a disciplined man, because he's predictable. He follows instructions. He pushes through pain without questioning the mission. He never asks, why am I doing this? He just does it. He's stable, measurable, easy to forecast. The system rewards him with approval, but it never gives him control. He is, in Machiavelli's words, the perfect servant. Now contrast that with the one no one sees coming. He doesn't follow a fixed routine. He rides momentum. He doesn't stick to habits that no longer give him power. He watches, he adapts, he pivots instantly. And because he's unpredictable, he's untouchable. Because no one knows when or how he'll strike. That's the Machiavellian reversal. Discipline makes you respectable, but strategy makes you feared, and in the real game. Respect without fear is just decoration. So if you're waking up each day just to check off boxes, if you're clinging to a system that no longer creates results, if you're using discipline to avoid the discomfort of changing course, then you've already lost the game. Because power doesn't go to the one who works the hardest. It goes to the one who moves the smartest, the one who bends the rules, changes shape, and adapts faster than everyone else. Discipline doesn't make you dangerous. Control does, and control doesn't come from rigidity. It comes from flexibility used with precision. The world respects discipline, but it fears strategy. And that's the key difference Machiavelli understood. While the disciplined man is busy trying to perfect his schedule, the strategic man is perfecting leverage. He's not trying to become efficient at life, he's bending life to serve him. Machiavelli didn't hate structure. He didn't hate effort. But he knew that once structure becomes your religion, it becomes your prison. And once you're imprisoned by your own routine, you become a slave to it. A productive slave, maybe, but still a slave. Here's how it happens. First, you build a habit. Then, that habit becomes your identity. And before you know it, your identity becomes your cage. I'm the guy who never skips a day. I'm the one who always finishes what I start. I'm the man who pushes through no matter what. That sounds noble, doesn't it? They treat discipline like a weapon, useful in certain moments, useless in others. But Machiavelli would look you in the eye and say, that makes you predictable. That makes you vulnerable. That makes you mine. And if discipline becomes who you are, your enemies no longer need to fight you, they just need to watch you. Watch you stay stuck in your own pattern. Watch you follow your own script. Watch you walk right into their trap. Because the moment someone knows your next move, they can start planning your defeat. Machiavellian minds don't worship routine. They manipulate it. They break their own rules to stay unreadable. Here's what that looks like in real life. If the plan stops working, burn it. If the routine stops delivering power, drop it. If a better opportunity shows up mid-stride, Pivot instantly and without guilt. Because they understand something most people never do. Power isn't awarded to the most consistent. It's awarded to the most adaptive. Let's talk tactics. Here are 3 of the biggest traps discipline sets and how Machiavellian would handle them. Differently. Trap number 1. The morning routine obsession. Wake up at 5 a.m. You feel like a machine. You feel like a winner. But here's the catch. You didn't think. You followed. You didn't act, you obeyed. Cold shower. Green SMOOTHI. Read. He wakes up to control the next critical moment. If that means skipping the gym to prep for a game-changing call, he skips it. If it means tossing the journal to rehearse strategy before a negotiation, he tosses it. If it means sleeping in because his sharpest mind comes alive at 2 p.m., he does that too. Journal. Gym. You've turned your streak into your master now. Breaking it feels like failure even if the streak no longer delivers anything of value. You go through all the motions. Machiavelli would ask, did that morning routine move you closer to power today? Did it help you outthink, outmaneuver, or outposition your rivals? Or did it just make you feel productive? The moment it becomes a monument to your ego, it's dead weight, and every day you carry it, you fall further behind. Your enemies aren't following routines, they're following opportunity. And while you're polishing your streak, they're seizing control. See, the Machiavellian doesn't wake up to check boxes. He's not here to impress his calendar. He's here to win. Trap number 2. The streak addiction. I haven't missed a day in 100 days. I've done this for a full year. He doesn't use routines for comfort, he builds them for leverage. So no one, not even himself, can trap him in a pattern. But that it goes unquestioned. That you start confusing habit with progress. That you mistake consistency for control. Or how far he'll go. And worst of all, you stop listening to your gut, because it doesn't match your schedule. And the moment they lose power, he lets them die. That's not power, that's pride. And Machiavelli would call it what it is, emotional leverage against yourself. He didn't hold on to commitments out of pride. He broke them for better options. Otherwise, it's just another cage, and the most dangerous cages. They're the ones you built yourself out of noble intentions. He didn't persist out of obligation. He pivoted for victory, the ability to move without warning, to shift without guilt, to abandon the familiar the moment it stops working. The disciplined man says, I can't stop now, I've come too far. The strategic man says, if stopping now gives me the edge, I'll stop immediately. Consistency only has value when it produces results. Trap number 3, the finish what you start lie. They told you, don't quit. Always finish what you start. See it through to the end. Sounds virtuous, right? But Machiavelli didn't honor bad plans. He replaced them. That doesn't make you flaky. That makes you formidable. Because while the disciplined man pushes a broken cart up a hill, the strategic man swaps carts quietly, pauses him and never looks back. The world doesn't reward people who finish everything. It rewards people who finish the right things, and this is where the Machiavellian separates himself completely. He doesn't follow structure, he weaponizes it. He doesn't hypnotize himself with discipline. He trains himself to break rhythm at will. That's the real danger of discipline. Not that it's wrong. The man who breaks his rhythm intentionally, he's the one no one can predict. No one knows when he'll strike, where he'll move. So ask yourself, are you consistent because it's working or because it's what you've always done? Are you following this path because it's powerful or because it makes you feel safe? Are you proud of how long you've kept the habit, or is that pride hiding the truth? Because discipline only becomes power when it still creates results. Machiavelli never praised consistency. He praised timing, adaptability, psychological precision. And that's what makes him dangerous. By now, you've probably felt that crack in everything you once believed about discipline. You were told that discipline is freedom, that if you just keep grinding, keep showing up, keep repeating the system, your future will be secure. But Machiavelli would lean in close and tell you that is only true if you control the system. If you don't, discipline just makes you walk faster towards someone else's finish line. That's the trap no one talks about. The world praises the reliable man, the one who never breaks routine, the one who shows up every single day, and then, once he's predictable enough, they move him out of the way for someone more dangerous, someone they can map, someone who doesn't follow rules, he writes them, someone who doesn't grind in public, he strikes in silence. That man is not disciplined. That man is Machiavellian. He doesn't live inside a routine. He lives in response every morning. He wakes up not to complete a checklist, but to scan the field, to read the air, to feel where the pressure is, and if the plan he made yesterday doesn't fit today's reality, he tosses it without hesitation, because he knows power doesn't reward effort. It rewards clarity, timing, adaptability, and discipline. When it becomes doctrine, destroys all three. The truly dangerous man, he's not defined by his habits. He's defined by his ability to burn those habits down. He's disciplined only when control is needed. He's chaotic only when chaos gives him the upper hand. He's unreadable because he's trained himself to disobey even his own patterns. He doesn't fear breaking consistency. He fears being decoded, because once your rhythm is known, so is your weakness. Machiavelli didn't build kingdoms by being easy to track. Look at the history of those who truly dominated. They didn't become great by perfecting rituals. They became great by breaking them. They didn't grind in silence, they moved in silence. They didn't repeat, they disrupted. They weren't addicted to consistency, they were addicted to advantage. And the moment the train shifted, they pivoted fast. Because power doesn't belong to the man who shows up every day. Power belongs to the man who knows when to vanish, when to change shape, when to strike. So let me ask you something real. If someone took away your routine, if your schedule vanished, if all your habits disappeared overnight, would you still move with precision? Would you still be effective? Or would you freeze? Because if your strength depends on structure, then your strength isn't real. It's rented, and the moment life shakes that structure, you'll fall with it. But the Machiavellian builds differently. He builds strength on readiness, not routine. He sharpens to things more than any habit. First is awareness. He watches the room, the players, the game board. He understands the rules not just to follow them but to know which ones to break and when. Second, his detachment. From plans, from pride, from the need to appear consistent. He's not loyal to systems. He's loyal to outcomes. He has nothing to prove, only something to control. That is why you'll never catch him forcing his way through something that no longer serves him. You'll never hear him say, "But I've been doing this for 100 days straight. I can't stop now." No. If it no longer gives him leverage, he lets it go. Fast, clean. Without apology. And that's why he wins. So what should you do now? You don't have to throw away your habits. But you do need to separate them from your identity. You need to cut the leash. Ask yourself daily, does this routine still bring results? Am I following this because it's effective or because it's familiar? If I had to destroy this system today, could I rebuild something stronger tomorrow? If your answer is no, then you're not in control. You're still a disciplined servant living in a world ruled by strategic masters. Machiavelli's greatest warning wasn't against effort. It wasn't against structure. It was against the illusion of progress. The illusion that doing the same thing over and over will eventually pay off no matter what. He saw discipline not as a virtue but as a mask people wore to avoid the pain of change. But his greatest insight, that the man who rewrites the rules not just for others, but for himself, is the only one who becomes truly untouchable. So stop being proud of how long you've kept the streak. Stop using consistency as a shield. Stop trying to impress the system. Start becoming dangerous. Be the one who moves before others even realize the game has changed. The one who resets faster, adapts quicker, destroys what no longer serves, and builds what no one else can see. That's not discipline. That's power. And if they ask you how you did it, don't explain. Don't motivate. Don't share your routine. Just smile and move before they can. Predict your next step, because while they're still measuring discipline, you'll already be measuring control. And by the time they realize it, you'll be gone.